Hello, I'm Alistair Cooper and welcome to Strategy 4 in the PlanningGame.com 7 free strategy series. I hope by now you're already getting some enthusiasm up and starting to have a look around your local area for opportunities. So I'd like to build upon your knowledge and give you some other ideas. So this is Strategy 4 and I've entitled this 1 Becomes 2. And rather bizarre title you might think, but simply it means looking for plots where you could demolish the existing dwelling and build 2 new ones, or even plots with sufficient width that allow you to develop another dwelling to the side without having to demolish the first one. Even better in many circumstances, cheaper to develop anyway. Now there's a good supply of wide plots, better than you'd think. You just need to start looking for them and looking through a developer's eyes rather than through a man in the street's eyes. And also you need to know what you can get away with. This is what I often call being able to see what the next man cannot see. I bet I could walk with you down a street now and I could see 7 or 8 different opportunities to develop on side plots or to the rear or to use permanent development that you probably wouldn't be able to see at the moment. And this is the journey I want to take you on. I want you to become as good as or even better than me at spotting opportunities so that you can profit and win the planning game. So back to our 1 becomes 2 strategy. Now, the greatest advantage of this one is it's very low risk and it has an easy exit strategy. You should never be paying for development land that hasn't already gained permission. And so what do I mean by that? Well, let's say for example you're buying a 3-bed detached house and you've noticed that it may well have space at the side to develop another property. Now what are other 3-bedroom detached houses for in the area selling for? Well, say 300,000. Well, you wouldn't want to be going in with offers of 400 and 450,000 for this particular one, would you? Because you don't know whether you can get permission to build at the side or not. So really you should be looking to obtain the property for the same price, or hopefully even lower, than other similar properties have already sold for in the area. It's back to that corner plot strategy of getting free land. That's the beauty of 1 becomes 2. They're also easy to finance, again for the same reasons as the corner plots. Because when you're purchasing the property, it's not considered a development opportunity at that stage because you haven't got the permission. So you're just looking for standard buy-to-let or residential mortgage finance to buy a regular house. So let's have a look at an example, shall we? Now, this is another one of my developments in Stanley Avenue, which again is in Chisel Green in St Albans. It looks like any other detached bungalow and they're pretty common in that area. I purchased it for 320,000, which is actually marginally below market value. The property needed a little bit of refurbishment, but it was only paint and kitchen, etc. And most of them were selling in the area at the time for around 350. They'll be slightly higher now. So let's have a look again at our multi-strategies on this one, shall we? Well, what would be obvious? Well, a loft conversion. I could convert the loft, add another bedroom, refurbish the property, probably sell it on, even back in the days when I bought it, for around the 400 mark and make a modest 30 to 40,000 pounds profit. So what would not be so obvious? Well, 2 new houses. That is demolishing this plot and building 2 houses in its place. Not just 2 bungalows, I hasten to add, 2 houses. Now this is possibly very controversial for a number of reasons. The council and local residents for that matter, when they get the opportunity to object, which no doubt they will, is that they would argue that the 2 houses would be not in keeping with the street scene because they say it's predominantly bungalows. But again, I've done my homework and had a good look around Stanley Avenue and the surrounding streets, and there's plenty of examples of where you see a run of bungalows and houses in between bungalows. So again, although this may come up as an objection, I'd have a good argument. And then we have the argument of general overdevelopment, of squeezing 2 properties into the plot. Because this plot is not obviously a plot for 2 new dwellings. It's only actually 40 feet wide, which actually makes it very tight. So what I'd need to do is develop almost right to the boundary both sides. Now typically you have to allow a metre between, at ground floor level, between your dwelling and the side boundary of next door. But again, looking around this area, there's been plenty of examples of where garages have been built right up to the boundary and then converted into residential living accommodation. So again, my argument to the council would be that if it's acceptable for all those other properties, it should be acceptable also for new build. But again, I have a strategy to cover myself should I not win those arguments with the council. In this particular example, it's still possible to build 2 semi-detached houses, even allowing for a metre both sides. They'd be thin, they'd probably only be 3 beds, even without an ensuite, but even in those circumstances I'd still be making a healthy profit. So let's have a look at the numbers, shall we? Well, if I win my arguments and get 2 new houses, in this case we're looking at 3 to 4 bed with ensuite, and I'd use a package company to build the houses. So we're looking at quite predictable costs of about 260,000. Now, 3 bed semis in the area, especially with en-suites and those that have potential for 4th bedrooms, have been selling recently for around the £500,000 mark. So being conservative, we'll assume the resale is going to be 980. This gives a profit on this development of £400,000. Excited? I thought you might be. Well, just go out there and look for these same opportunities. I'm not going to say you're going to make £400,000 easily, and you're not going to make £400,000 in every development. But here's just another example of a typical house, a typical street, with a plot that could be redeveloped. And also I've looked around the area and I've seen other plots that have been redeveloped also. Look at this one. This is on Watford Road, very close by. Again, at the moment it looks like any other house. But next door, a very similar bungalow has been demolished and 2 detached dwellings replaced in its place. So very, very similar to my Stanley Avenue development. So why is the purchase price £550,000? Well, in this case, you're paying more, but you're eliminating your risk. Because in this example, permission has already been granted for 2 detached dwellings. So although you're paying a lot of money for that permission, it means that you can start development work straight away. Now, estimated cost to build 2 detached houses here would be around about the 300,000 mark, but they'd be 4/5 bedroom detached because it happens to be a very deep plot. The estimated resale on those would be around 550 each, so that gives you 1.1 million, so an estimated profit of 250,000. So less profit than with Stanley Avenue because you've already paid someone else for the luxury of the planning permission, but a lot more predictable, a lot less risk, and a much quicker turnaround. So let's have a look at some of the caveats. Now, there's more risk to this type of development than there is to smaller scale permitted development and corner plot development, because often you'll incur substantial costs in trying to gain the planning permission. Sets of plans for 2 and 3 houses do cost a little bit more than basic plans for a simple extension. Also, they're going to be more difficult to finance, especially if you're looking to purchase plots such as the one in Watford Road we just mentioned that have already gained planning permission, because the house in its own right wouldn't value up at the price that you're paying. Also, it's a much longer time scale if you're taking the example of Stanley Avenue, where you haven't already got the advantage of permission. You may be here applying for permission 2 or 3 times in order to be successful, and changing what you're applying for on each occasion, or even going to appeal. Appeal is a process we'll talk more about later, but it can often take 8 to 12 months. Often the council will argue you're overdeveloping the site or affecting the street scene. And also be careful not to create a hard to sell end product. Again, you must have an intimate knowledge of your local area and what the market will and won't stand. Squeezing houses onto a plot, being too extreme about squeezing houses onto a plot, can lead you with a product that's unpleasant and not particularly desirable, and you could be stuck trying to sell it. Always try and avoid that. Always try and underdevelop rather than overdevelop. It's not always easy, but I have the confidence that you can pull it off. So I have a one-day workshop coming up in Heathrow near London. It's a practical workshop, and what we want to do is take you by the hand and walk you through the entire process of spotting opportunities, getting plans drawn up, submitting them to the council, developing arguments that put the case more in your favour, finding builders, managing developments, and ultimately selling the properties for maximum profit. We want to break down all the jargon and give you by the hand guidance to achieve your goals and help you to win the planning game. We want you to leave with a briefcase full of skills, knowledge, and the confidence, more importantly, to succeed in winning the planning game immediately. You should be able to leave us after our one-day workshop with the confidence to go out there and find opportunities the very next day. So I look forward to speaking to you again soon and to welcoming you on our one-day workshop. Thanks for your time. Bye.